Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Carnivore Evolution podcast. Today's episode is number 7. Today we have a special guest, Miranda. She's a social media influencer that has preached doing carnivore for the last couple of years, and today she's going to explain her journey. Miranda, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Good stuff, good stuff. So how did you hear about carnivore? Tell me your backstory.
Well, I actually found a little blog online. I was pretty desperate. I was in a very, very desperate mode. I was pretty much feeling like I was dying. And so uh, I have alpha gal, so I'm not supposed to eat meat. I had the Lyme, it was Lyme, Rocky, Mountain Tick, and alpha gal all in one when they tested it. And so I just decided to try it because I was like, well, I've tried everything else. And I was like, if this kills me, okay,
Mm.
I gotta try it. So there was this one lady who had a lot of my symptoms, but not alpha gal. And I was just like, she has exactly what I'm going through. So why not try it? And she says she's all better. So I was like, well, and literally in 2 weeks, there was such a difference that I was like, okay.
And what is this condition? I've never heard it before. What kind of condition is it?
Well, so my fibromyalgia, they call it stage 4, which is weird because you have seizures with it. But it's Lyme's disease, so it got Lyme's disease, and alpha gal means that you're not supposed to eat any meat. So
Okay.
between that and I had my gallbladder out when I was like 16. So really haven't ate a lot of meat in my life. I mean, maybe chicken and such. I always stick, and I've always been healthy eating, just so you know. Like I always, I'm not a soda drinker. I rarely eat sweets, or chips would be my biggest thing, but I tried to do organic or natural. I've always ate pretty healthy.
Hmm.
Um, but or as they say, healthy, right? But it just, no, I mean, it just would not work. Even salads and fruits and veggies and from the store, and it nothing helped. I mean, I tried vegan, I tried vegetarian, I tried just I went a whole liquid for a month,
Mm.
of like detox liquids, herbs. I mean, just I tried the gauntlet because it was 14 years I went through this, and
Wow.
I couldn't drive. I literally the first 2 years couldn't walk very much. Like I had a walker. Um, like if I held my purse, it would hurt. Like there was
Wow.
just so much pain. So I was pretty much bedridden. Like my day consisted of literally, like, I could maybe do the laundry throughout the whole day. That was, and luckily I have a family, husband that supported me. But otherwise, I mean, I would have been, in an assisted care living. Like it would have been to that extent. Um, I was, just unable to care for myself. And anytime a flare up would occur, which was pretty much weekly or, bi-weekly, it'd be 3 or 4 weeks or a month to where I could get back to doing the laundry again.
Mm.
And it was just crazy, the whole how my body had been functioning.
And what kind of support were you getting? Like, were you going to see doctors at this stage?
Oh yeah, so he has really good insurance, works for a good company, but we spent out of pocket 200,000 because it was 14 years I had went through this.
Wow.
um it got started with was actually a red ant that bit my toe. But they think that, or the doctors think that it had limes in the Rocky Mountain, all of it in it. And then it just progressed. It just, went from 0 to 100 in a very short span of time. I'd say like 5 months.
Mm. And when did you first hear about the carnivore diet? Like, when did you say, right, okay, I'm actually going to start implementing this into my life? And what does a typical day look like now, food wise?
Well, it was about 3 years ago. Um, and this year, I would say the best at it. I can't say the first 2 years I was perfect. I did cheat, And also, people kept convincing me it was wrong. There's a lot of social pressure. There's a lot of, friends, family. They're like, well, why don't you just do keto? Why don't you just do a little bit of veggies and stuff and you'll be
Mm,
okay? But every time I do veggies, I don't feel good.
mm,
And so it's like, well, no, that's just not working. That's not what my body needs. Um, but yeah, when I found that blog, I decided to do it about 3 years ago. And then, like I said, the first couple years, I was getting better, but you have those little cravings and whatnot. And then this year, I just, really set in. It was just like every day, gonna eat my steak. I do seafood and beef.
mm,
I don't really get. I mean, every once in a while, I have chicken. I don't really do the pork. I don't do dairy. Um, I do goat products just because I noticed for me that dairy wasn't great, but I do a lot of goat products. So,
mm, mm,
I mean, it just depends on the person. I think, some people can do dairy, eggs, everything great. And I think that's great. I haven't re implemented eggs. I need to try that. Uh, I never have done the always farm fresh perfection. And I just haven't. But every once in a while I do eggs, but mostly it's just I mean, I'll just take a 16 to 24 ounce steak and eat it and have some seafood every couple days. And that's pretty much my regimen. I make sure I have lots of fat.
mm.
I do grill up beef fat and I sort of munch on that. So.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? Because like when you think about it, like years ago, like say 20 years ago, every one of us would have been terrified of eating fat.
Yeah, yeah, it is fun.
Terrified. And when you look back at it now, it's like, wow, like what were we taught? Like we were all taught the same thing, like just eat your carbohydrates, eat your vegetables. When you look at the food pyramids, fats are at the bottom for a reason. Don't go near them. They contain too many calories. Too much fat's going to raise your cholesterol, all this rubbish. And when you look back and you look at what's been happening in the last, say, 20 years, you look at the chronic diseases. So many people, I've heard so many people in the carnivore, I've had so many people on the podcast, and every one of them has a story pretty much similar to yours. I know my story was exactly like yours. I've done all the diets as well. I've done vegan, I've done paleo. I could never get to the root of my problem. I was always walking around depressed, digestive issues, and not one person in the healthcare or the fitness community could tell me exactly what's going on.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and last year I looked over some of my medical records, because I had obtained them all because I was just curious, and literally every month or two I'm going to the hospital, pretty much every month for quite a long time, emergency room, and having pains, having too much, and then also just they were still looking for because I have white matter spots on my
Mm,
brain. They
mm,
were still looking for MS, and they didn't
wow,
tell me that.
wow.
And I was like, well, because long ago, one doctor had told me, oh, it's not MS. And then later it's like, well, we're still looking. What, it's like, oh my gosh, at least tell me what's going on or
And when,
and they
and,
try.
and when you went to the healthcare, did they talk to you anything about eating properly, nutrition, or was it just like, listen, we need to get you on medication. This is a medical problem. Like, what was the diagnosis?
Mostly that. I mean, there was only one doctor I seen once. And then he was gone. I don't know what happened to him, but he did a long time ago. He said everything's in your stomach. And I never thought about that much, because it's just that one visit, one time. But he's like, everything comes from your stomach, But he was still focused more on vegetarian,
Mm, mm,
vegan,
mm,
like you need to eat, uh, you know, veggies. And I'm like, well, I do that, and it didn't seem like a big issue at the time, like, well, that's what I'm doing. So, but that was the only doctor, and I've seen a plethora of
mm,
doctors
mm,
throughout
mm,
this time
mm,
that and tons of medicines. I had I mean, even way back before all this started, I had angina, hypoglycemia. My body was already, I've always been frail. I would say frail, or like if somebody had a cold, I get it. I never had immunity.
Mm.
And so even when I got this, they were like, I never took a flu shot before, and they're like, you have to because it'll kill you. And
Mm.
so I
Mm.
started the vaccines, and it didn't help, nothing, I still would get sick. And I have
Mm.
to say, in the last 3 years, I mean, knock on wood kind of thing, but I haven't got a cold,
Wow.
haven't got a runny nose, haven't got
Mm.
I've been around, I'm actually out there now. I work now. So I see people every day, and, somebody can cough right in front of me, and there's,
Mm.
you have immunity. Your body's running
Mm.
the way it should.
Mm.
And I've lost 70 pounds
Wow.
because I can move, I
Mm.
can do stuff. I just couldn't lose because you can't move, you can't function, you can't,
Mm.
you can't work out, you can't,
Mm.
I haven't implemented workout completely yet, but I'm going to.
Amazing.
That's my next goal.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, especially like this time of the year, is like January, February, when it's flu season. You always hear the main protocol that we need to increase our vitamin C. We need to have more vitamin C. We need to be eating the fruits. You know what I mean? Try and get as much fruit into you as possible. When you're sick, you just need to increase your dose of vitamin C. I knew when I was taking that, not only was I getting more constipated, my mental health was getting a lot worse. And it was doing nothing for me at all. And I was always told, okay, you need to have more. Like just have more vitamin C. Don't bother looking at what's in the ingredients. Just have it. When you were mentioning about plants, this was always the first protocol as well, that we can't we like our plants, our vegetables, our salads, they all contain nutrients that we need, minerals that we need. But there was never anything mentioned about, okay, what these actually are doing to our bodies. They never mentioned anything about lectins, about how they can actually impact someone's, again, mental health, metabolic issues, digestive issues, gut issues. And when you did have these problems, they never looked at the main problem, which was the diet. Like, I work with an awful lot of people that have IBS. A lot of people come to me with IBS, and they're like, "Listen, I've done all the diets. I've done every single diet. All I'm eating now at the moment is just meat and vegetables, but I can't seem to get rid of this IBS. Can you help me?" And like 6 years ago, I would have just said the exact same thing. I would have just said, listen, just keep eating your vegetables, keep eating your protein, and maybe you'll need a probiotic or a digestive enzyme, or maybe you need to go and see your doctor because probably this is a medical problem. If only I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have told so many mistakes. And I think this is the biggest thing, and this is the reason why I had to get you on, is because of that. Because when you hear people talking about data and research, and they're saying like, okay, but the data says this and the research says this, my data is when I talk to people like you. So when I talk to people like you that have gone through it, that have done it all, and have come out the other side and had to do all this on your own, what other research do you want?
True, true. And now my husband, he started a year ago. He has the IBS. He's always fatigued. Like
Mm.
he even always has said, like, I wake up, ever since he was a kid, he goes, I wake up and I'm just tired. But they never found, no big problem. They did
Mm.
do a yearly, what do you call, where you blow up your stomach,
Yeah,
to
yeah,
expand it,
yeah.
for IBS, but they didn't, and he was on, antacids all the time or whatever, one of those. Uh, but he started it, and he's like a different person too. I mean, it's been, he's done it a year now almost, and it's amazing to even see his journey, because he's like, I'm going to try this, and then
Mm.
he's not fatigued. He wakes up energetic. He doesn't have any IBS symptoms, like you were saying, like that's
Mm.
all gone. Uh, I mean, it is amazing how, and so many people, like I've read or talked to so many people that I'm just like, wow, it fixes this and this and this, these
Mm.
different issues. It's not just my issue. It's not
Mm,
just fibro or Lyme's or neurological. It also seems to implement on I don't know, many platforms, many levels.
hmm And you mentioned that you lost over 70 pounds. Like, tell me how you did that. Were you tracking macros? Were you tracking calories? Like, what were you doing?
Now I just I just eat. Um,
Yeah,
it just falls off. That's what's
yeah,
so nice about it. It's like it's actually like you have to eat a little bit more, just to make sure, But it just, yeah. I didn't think I'd get this small. My goal was to hit about 20 pounds more than I am, oddly. But
wow,
I was very tiny way back.
yeah,
Way when I was younger, but I just thought, oh, I'll never get there again. You know how they always tell you you'll never get there again,
yeah, yeah.
and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm a size zero again. This
Wow.
is crazy. Um,
So, so all you're doing now is you're just eating food. You're not tracking anything. You're not doing any calories like we're all told to do on social media.
Now, if I'm hungry, like I was OMADing more, and as I've gotten smaller, I seem to want two meals, so that's what my body wants. So when you're hungry, you just eat your meat and
Mm,
eat however much you want. I mean, that's what's sort of kind of cool. I mean, there's literally days, I'm like, really tiny now. I'm like, 118 or whatever, but I can eat a 32 ouncer. There was just
wow.
the other day I was starving, and I was like, well, I need a 32-ounce steak, and I ate
Yeah,
it.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's crazy, isn't it? It's
It is.
crazy the amount of food that we eat now, and like you're probably eating more calories than you've ever ate in your life, and you're still losing weight.
Yeah. Well, like you said, like the fat alone, has how many calories if you counted
Yeah,
calories and
yeah,
all
yeah,
that. And it's
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, wait a minute.
yeah, 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 yeah. Like I look at who I'm working with at the moment, and I don't think I have one client on anything less than 150 grams of fat a day.
Hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? And you're looking at it, and you're like, and you're trying to explain that to somebody, and the first thing that comes out of their head is like, you're just going to kill these people.
Hmm.
You're going to give these people a heart attack. So when we hear this, what's the biggest misconception you hear when it comes to fats, and how do you feel that we need to address it?
Well, definitely, the cholesterol. I mean, that's number one. We've been trained that. And, if you look back in the history, even like when McDonald's changed here in America, that was
Mm,
based off somebody's media social. There wasn't even any medical backing behind him. He
mm-hmm.
just literally put in millions of dollars because he was mad. He was
Yep.
eating canned tamales. He was eating, all these horrible foods. He even admitted it.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's like, oh, it's those oil, it's the tallow, it's that is total media marketing, and basically had an agenda.
Yep.
And as you go through this, like you were saying, you start realizing how many things were programmed,
Mm-hmm.
like that we are actually programmed that, hey, this is what you do, like you said, with when you're healthy, you're supposed to have vitamin C. Well, I don't know how much you're into oxalates, but
Mm-hmm.
vitamin C goes into makes the oxalate. So we don't want that. We
Mm-hmm.
get enough vitamin C from our meat.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want more. And if you do organ meat and do some extra, I usually try to, like ancestral beef has it mixed in with the hamburger. So I like once a week we'll do that. If you don't like, some people don't like liver or don't like, the organ meat. You could take supplements if you really wanted, but I'd recommend the real meat.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that has everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no need to have these excess, like you were saying, like when you're sick, and you really, the only side effect I've ever seen from carnivore is, the small oxalate dumps, which are nothing
Mm-hmm.
compared to your side effects of your diseases, your basic illnesses, the flu, the cold, etc. I mean, you that's a harsher thing than your small oxalate dumps that you might go through at the beginning of your journey. And
Mm-hmm.
that's just detoxing. That's just, that's the toxins coming out. That's the
Mm-hmm.
every time you feel better. You're like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my gosh, now woo." So,
Yeah, no, I know, yeah. And see, what happened was when they done the studies on red meat, like you mentioned, they forgot to mention when they looked at this study. what other people were actually having with these foods. So when you look at like some McDonald's, or you look at what the average person does now, you look at what the average person does, they'll have that red meat, but it had that like with a bun,
Hmm.
like chips, alcohol. There's so many other factors. When they talk about the processed meat's been bad for you, they don't look at things like pizzas, hot dogs. They just focus on the hot dog itself.
Hmm.
They just focus on the meat. They don't just focus on what else you're having with that. What else you're having, like the sauce, again, the bun. Nobody mentioned this. Nobody mentions this at all.
That's true. That's true. And also fiber. That would
Yeah,
be the other thing I hear a ton about. It's like, oh, you have to, not to get too TMI, but
I know. Yeah,
you
yeah,
must
yeah, yeah,
have bathroom
yeah, yeah,
issues. And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like, I've had the least bathroom issues that I've ever had.
yeah, yeah,
When you get this way, it's more like everything's cleaner. I used to have pancreatic problems all the
yeah,
time and go to the doctor. I'd always get, constipation problems in the past. Nothing. Like
yeah.
it's like it totally eliminates that. Like you said, if you do enough fat, you're fine. That's all you need, with your meat. It's the biggest problem I think people do is they just do protein, or I hear a lot of people who do just chicken, and it's like chicken isn't going to do it. That doesn't have enough
Exactly,
fat.
exactly. And see, if you're on the standard American diet where you're eating like the majority of processed food, you're eating a lot of carbohydrate food, then yes, you need fiber to push that all through. But that's the whole point. If we just eliminate these foods and eliminate the fiber and eat food the way nature gave us food, you will have no issues whatsoever. Like you, I've been eating this way now for the last 3 years, and I've never had one issue going to the toilet. Not one.
Exactly.
Like,
Well, and no, I've always done cheap meats. Like I'm now trying some grass fed, but I even just have done very, very cheap meats. Like I go down the grocery store and when they have it 3.88 a pound, I do the rump roast and so it could be very economic too, because I
mm,
didn't want it to get real expensive. I do my ribeyes now and again and such, but you can do it, hamburger and rump roast. And you also, I think people don't understand, you start craving it. Like
yeah,
at first it's hard, the first couple of months, but like now I don't want anything else. And if I even try a bite of something else, it just is horrid. Like you could just taste the chemicals, you can taste that it's not real. It's
exactly.
just,
Yeah,
it's so weird. But your body actually goes, hey, this is food, this is
hmm,
not.
exactly.
Eh,
Yeah, yeah. So okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. A craving and a hunger. Surely they're the same things.
Yeah, definitely different. That's true. Uh, a craving, it could be, I guess it could be mental and physical.
Hmm.
You start thinking about something, you can't get over it. You're like, you want this donut, and you're like, nope, I'm not supposed to eat that donut. I'm not supposed to eat that. But you'll literally think about that for
Yeah.
days upon days.
Hmm.
It's not like it just goes away. It's almost like that's why I do sort of kind of call sugar an addiction, because people who have alcohol go through that, people who are
Yeah.
on drugs go through that,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. Your mind doesn't stop thinking about it. And it's
Exactly.
like, well, you should just be able to say no and,
Mm.
walk away. But until
Mm.
it's, so there is that part of where people are going to, like I had to go through too, where you're going through that addiction part, that getting over it, getting it out of your system, getting your body cleaner to where it doesn't
Mm.
want it, you
And that's
know?
it. And that's the thing about addiction. You don't actually realize you have an addiction until you actually let go of it yourself. You know what I mean? Because when we look at our food, especially our food nowadays, everybody just says that sugar is a food. It's fine. Eat it in moderation. It's completely fine. As long as you're eating, say, 85% healthy and you can have the odd treat every day, you're completely fine. But it doesn't, people just don't understand that. And in order to let go of sugar, you need to let go of it for good. Like you mentioned, you wouldn't ask an alcoholic, okay, listen, I want you to stop drinking alcohol 6 days a week, but then on the last day, on a Sunday, you can have a glass of wine. Or you say to someone who's a gambler, like, listen, don't gamble the whole week, but then when it comes to Saturday and Sunday, you can gamble all your money away. It just doesn't make any sense. Um, So how do you implement this now with people that you work with? Do you feel like you need to get them straight into carnivore, straight into keto, or do you do it in phases?
That's a good question. It does depend. You know, there are people that are ready. There are people that are not. Like you said, there is that phase. I believe though that yeah, you need to jump in, especially if you have anything that's health related, but even not because it's going to become health related.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could be perfectly healthy, or even my husband, with the IBS, they called it, oh, he's really healthy for his age because he's
Mm-hmm.
like 54 now. So they're like, you're not in any medicines, you're really healthy every time he went to the doctor. But he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
He was always fatigued. He was always tired. He was always struggling to get through the day. He'd take a nap midday and later
Mm-hmm.
in the day, and that's not normal. And I don't think until you even get healthier, you know what normal is.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that, I call it, I sort of call it like Marvel comic book things like Batman energy, Wonder Woman
Mm-hmm.
energy. It's like you literally have all this energy and you can go many, many hours in the day and you don't sleep as much. And, I mean, I might sleep 6 hours now compared to like 12.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I'm fine. I wake
Mm-hmm.
up and I'm like, woo.
Mm-hmm.
so, so I just, people don't know what their optimal could be,
Mm-hmm.
how they really can function and how they really can run because their bodies are made to run like that.
Yeah.
And it's not just the weight loss because even at the beginning, like in 2 weeks in, I started feeling the energy. I started feeling this surge of difference,
Mm-hmm.
where I could lift a little more, I could do a little more, I could, everything started to come back, to
Yeah.
where I
Yeah.
was more. So I just don't think people know. They go and work out, they go and do their stuff, right? And some people are really into physical and really into fitness, but they don't know that if they just implement a little bit more, they could be at, top peak of who they could
Mm.
be.
Mm. And yeah, and this is something I see an awful lot of people doing as well. They'll walk into the gym, like especially when January comes around after Christmas, everybody just wants to get in shape. And the first protocol is they skip the diet. They just say, right, okay, I have to go to the gym. I just need to work out, even though my diet is rubbish. I just need to go to the gym. Then when you see these people walking into the gym, the first thing they have in their hand is like an energy drink. So when they're doing these spinning classes or the circuit training or whatever, you'll see people going in and they'll have a piece of fruit halfway during the workout. They're drinking on these energy drinks, and it's like, my God, like guys, you don't understand that this is the problem right here. And when you try and explain to people, like, listen, you need to get rid of this. You need to get this out of your life. They're like, no, we can't because we were told we need to eat carbohydrates. We function off
Mhm.
carbohydrates. Our brain needs glucose, all of this kind of stuff. But then when you ask them, like, how are you feeling? They're like, I'm not feeling great. I have injuries. I wake up, like you mentioned, they wake up later on in the day. They're napping. They feel like they'll have that breakfast in the morning, whether it's a bowl of cereal or a slice of toast, and they're like, why do I feel tired an hour later? I should be feeling great. Or you'll hear people say that, okay, I need to have a pre-workout. I need to go to the gym. I'll have a bowl of oats, or I'll have a protein shake, or I'll have a piece of fruit, or I'll have some kind of energy drink. But then when they get to the gym, they're mentally exhausted. They're mentally exhausted, and then comes DOMS. They're getting injured very, very easily in the gym. They're picking up like niggles. Then their recovery capabilities are limited because they can't recover. So it takes them about 4 or 5 days to go back to the gym. I've noticed since I've done carnivore, I can pretty much train every single day if I want to. My recovery now it takes literally about a few hours. Whereas before, if I wanted to recover, I'd have to sleep, I'd have to take the protein shakes, I'd have to eat more carbohydrates. But I couldn't understand this how it affected your blood sugar. I could never understand that why we get these regular spikes and crashes on a regular basis. Why, when I used to eat carbohydrates, the minute I finished, I was like, okay, you know what? I need to have a nap. If this is our main source of energy, why do I feel like I'm extremely tired? I'm just exhausted. This can't be normal. And it wasn't until I went on carnivore that just went all away. The inflammation went, the niggles went, and my energy was just unbelievable. Now I wake up now, like you mentioned, I only have like 6 hours sleep, but now I wake up with a purpose and I'm just ready to rock and roll. And I actually enjoy my workouts now. And I find I'm at this stage in my life that I'm not putting too much effort into how I look compared to what I used to do, like say 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, like I could even see, because I started some videos last year and such, like how, it's just reverse aging me some.
Mm,
Like my wrinkles went a little less, even just from the like 6, 7, 8 months here, like just this little journey of seeing like my first time going on social media to now, how it keeps like, I don't do Botox. I don't do any weird stuff. I don't use any, you know, uh, stuff, or whatever you call it. You know how they have all those creams and all that
mm,
junk. I don't do any of that.
mm,
But it's literally like, you could literally see from like the first to even now how it's changed. And I'm like,
mm,
wow, it just keeps because I think at first, the biggest thing people need to know too is you might not even lose weight at first that much,
mm.
because it's about healing your body. So your
Yep.
body goes to what's the most important first. So it had so much to heal within me and so many things to deal with that it's first just trying to work on that. Then the weight, and then even the reverse aging to a degree. It's like that didn't matter. That's the last
Mm,
functions, for
mm,
it to matter, I guess. It's going to work on your vital functions first. And so it's sort of interesting how that works and how, your body knows what it needs and knows where to
mm,
put the nutrition, knows what to work on first. If we just let our bodies run optimal, they will, and
mm,
not allow the toxins to, because when we ingest the toxins, even like seed oils and stuff here, 3 to 5 years, it could be in your system. Just one donut or whatever, it's sort of scary.
mm,
So I think if people really study or really understand that, when you're ingesting this, you're ingesting something that's going to stay in your system, that's going
mm,
to, it's not a cheat, like like you were talking about, like we'll just do it on Sunday or Saturday. It's something that's just now your restart for 3 years potentially.
mm,
You were literally just restarted your journey, and there could be side effects. And the more we could just get that out of us and just, no more. They just put, like you said, so many things. And when you start studying the ingredients, it's so scary. I'm very
yeah.
much into the ingredients and, like, and it's just so scary how it's processed, even fruits and vegetables now. Like, I've been trying to explain this to people too, that, the way they process things now isn't like it used to be.
Mm,
The chemicals that we put on the the pesticides that they put on it have tons of oxalates. They're
mm,
unhealthy for us. They even claim some of them do, you know, cancer and different diseases. They say that. Uh, FDA says that kind of stuff. If you read, they tell you.
mm,
It's just that we're still ingesting it. And then fruit, they have literally in the zoos here in America taken it from the animals
mm,
because it's
mm,
unhealthy,
mm,
but yet we eat it.
mm.
It's like, well, that doesn't sound quite right.
And do you see what they're actually feeding our cows now? They're actually feeding our cows now Bouvardia. Have you heard of that?
No, I guess I haven't heard that
They're
one.
they're feeding our cows now more adjectives, so they're trying to get us to eat more meat coming from a lab.
Mm.
And they're never going to stop doing this because like when you look at how big now veganism is, it's just insane. And this is what really annoys me about social media, especially now. I have nothing against vegans, nothing against them at all. But what I do have a problem is when they push it down your throat and then they start demonizing meat as a bad thing. When people talk about like a plant-based diet, they'll always talk about like the food, like how good it is for you, but they'll never talk about the actual ingredients that's in this food. They'll never. Every time I look at someone talking about a plant-based diet, you have to go into, okay, this is the food they're talking about. But then you look at the ingredients and it's like, even I don't even know the names of this. I've never even heard of them. I have to look up on YouTube to see or on Google to see what these ingredients are. So if I don't know what they are, and you guys are preaching to everybody this is the way we should be eating, it's just insane. Absolutely insane. And when you look at a plant-based diet, let's say a plant-based burger compared to an animal-based burger, like it doesn't make any sense. You're going to get one ingredient in an animal-based burger, whereas in a plant-based burger, you could get up to nearly 20 or 30 other ingredients. How can you tell me that a plant-based burger is going to be better for me than an animal-based burger?
Yeah, and there's just so many on social media, like you said, that are, how do you put it, really aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just put my stuff out there. I don't, go and attack places or
Mm-hmm.
go and try to go to a vegan site and try to push them. There's no, if they're doing their thing, if they decide to come and look or to do that, that's fine. But you don't go to them. They sort of, some of them
Mm-hmm.
trolls online go right to you,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, wait a
Yeah.
minute. I didn't come to you. You don't have to,
Mm-hmm.
just let me help the people that will listen, and let me talk to the people that are ready. And I think some people do have to be more desperate. I know I have still one friend who should be doing it and still has that, I would say it's a social mentality of, well, I ate this as a kid and I can't give up this food. And it's like, it's that's an addiction. you know
Mm-hmm.
if you know, and you already know in your mind that this will fix you, and you could try it at least to see if it will for 90
Mm-hmm.
days or something,
Mm-hmm.
and you won't because you're worried about giving it up forever, there's something wrong. There's
Exactly.
something.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 And that's something that I do. Like I don't. If you look at what my name is on social media, I don't come across as like carnivore Mark or keto Mark. I had to come up with a name that didn't have carnivore or keto in it at all because I live in a country where if you mention keto or mention carnivore, it's like you're trying to kill people. So I said, right, okay, I need to come up with a name so I can actually educate people. So like you mentioned, most people that come and see me will have an addiction. And it's very, very hard to say to someone who has an addiction, okay, you need to give it up straight away. So you need to do carnivore, you need to do keto. 9 times out of 10, a lot of people are going to fail. Where what I do is I break it down to phases. I'll say, okay, the
Mhm.
first protocol is you're gonna get rid of all the processed food, every single bit of it. No more junk food, just get rid of it. Within 2 weeks, tick, they're saying I feel better. That's great. The next thing then we need to focus on, we need to give you a better energy source. So what I want you to do now is there's two energy sources. I want you to get rid of the carbohydrates and I want you to rely on fats. Just trust me on this. Just rely on fats. Within 4 days, tick, people are saying, "Wow, Mark, I feel great. I have so much more energy. I'm going to work and I feel great." Tick, we're going the right direction. It's only until we get to the last, like you mentioned, until we completely heal the body. It's like the last 4 weeks out of a whole 12-week program. They're like, Mark, I'm doing everything. I've gotten rid of the processed food. I've gotten rid of the carbohydrates, but I'm still walking around with gut issues. I'm still walking around with digestive issues. I'm still walking around constipated. What's going wrong? What do I need to do? This is when I say to people, okay, it may be down to the vegetables. We may need to eliminate the vegetables. So at this stage, they trust you because they've seen what happened in the first 8 weeks. They've seen that, okay, their mental health has improved, their overall health has improved, they're losing weight without tracking any calories, without tracking any macros. They've got better energy. So there's so much going well in their life. So they're saying, right, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm going to get rid of the vegetables. And that's when I find I get the best progress from people. That's when I say, okay, listen, this is the reason why I had to do this at the very, very beginning. I couldn't just say to you, I want you to do carnivore. I had to educate you and get you there eventually. It might have took 10 weeks, it might have took 12 weeks, but now you understand the reason why it took so long and now why I'm very, very confident you will never go back to your old habits again of doing the diets, doing the low calorie diets. This is the way you should be eating now for the rest of your life.
Yeah, because it is a struggle at first, and I
Mm,
think, like I said, the first 2 years I still had little cheats, and a lot of that was because if I would feel rough or something would occur, or I didn't feel quite as good, which was not nearly the
mm,
flare-ups I had at the
mm,
beginning,
mm,
I still would it had an automatic turn towards food. Is that automatic mindset that, oh, you don't feel good, you get some treat, and that would always backslide me. And so there are those triggers that you have to find
mm,
within yourself,
mm,
and go, well, wait a minute, there's no need for that. That's just habit. I mean, it's
mm,
literally just habit.
mm,
You can get in good habits, you can get in bad habits. And and even though I knew I was feeling better, every once in a while I'd have a little cheat, and then it's like, why did I do that? And also, I noticed for myself, at least, it was social pressure.
mm,
Social pressure was the hugest one. I would do great, and then I'd go out to a dinner with some friends, or to with the family, and then I'd feel like I had to try something, or I had to eat something, and it's like, no, you don't.
mm,
You really don't. There's been no difference for me eating nothing,
mhm,
that they have there, or eating something I can eat,
mm,
some meat that's appropriate. But even eating nothing, there's no difference. If I sit and drink, some water and hang out with them, I mean, the point is you're hanging out with the people. It's
mm.
not the food.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And it's that pressure, isn't it? That pressure that when you go out, like, yeah, everybody else is having an alcoholic drink, everybody else is having desserts. I should be doing the exact same thing. But you actually don't. So you just need to look at food. Don't look at food as pleasure. Just look at food as fuel. Look at food as what this food is actually going to do to me. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be waking up an hour and or you don't want to be waking up the next day just feeling like crap. You want to be waking up the next day like just feeling great and getting on with your day.
Exactly, exactly. And I've come from such a long, hard journey. I wasn't driving. I drive now. I now can work every day and go out and about. It's pretty amazing.
Mm,
I can lift things, I can lift, 40-pound waters, whatever,
mm,
I just am. And like I said, I haven't even really yet got into exercise. That's my journey of this year. We're sort of kind of, I like a gym, and we're sort of kind of far from a gym, but in a month or so we're moving. So I thought, well, when we get to the gym, I'm going to go start, getting a tone now next.
mm,
That's my next
mm,
phase. But I was so sick that it was a little scary to start exercise, because every time I'd ever push myself, I'd get sick. So I think it was more of a mental thing. I could have worked out this year, but it's a little bit of a, ooh, I don't know if I want to try it. I'm
mm,
feeling so good. I don't want to, but I can, and I've pushed my body so much, with work and different things, that I know I can. It's like no issue at all.
mm,
I now can just function at fullness, do workouts, do stuff, all day, go and lift stuff all day, and it's not a, it's nothing. It's
mm,
not what it was. And every day I wake up, I mean, so, every day I'd wake up, I'd be in pain. Like, even with all my medicines, there wasn't where you didn't have body aches, you couldn't sleep good. I was on Ambien and all that because I never could sleep, because every time you move, your body just hurts so bad it'd wake you.
mm,
And so it's just so cool to wake up every day and go, wow, no pain today, like,
mm,
it literally am still in that process of every day going, wow. I'm not in any. I mean, even when I have a couple times went and worked out, and I did get a rowing machine. Uh, I don't hurt the next day.
yeah, yeah.
I don't wake up and go, "Ooh, my arms hurt." I
Hmm.
feel more like, "Ooh, I feel sort of pumped."
And isn't it amazing that we're now we understand how we can eat. We're actually excited about getting older. Whereas
Uh,
whereas before you would have been worried, okay, what's going to happen to me? I'm going to end up in the doctor's situation. He's going to be looking after me when I'm 50, 60, 70 years of age. Like, I'm at a stage in my life now where I'm near enough. I'm nearly 50, and I feel amazing. I know that if I keep doing this for the next 30 or 40 years, I'm going to be in the best health possible. I know I am. I know I can continue doing the weight training. I know I can continue having this impact with people. It's just an amazing feeling. Amazing feeling.
It sure is. And that is a good point. I felt like way back, this last 14 years, I was like 80. I mean, literally, like uneven ground was hard to walk on.
Mm,
And the first time uneven ground was just super easy. I was so excited because it was like, wow, I could walk in the back because our backyard is pretty uneven. It's sort of
mm.
country. And I was like, I could walk through this backyard and not even feel like I'm going to fall.
Yeah, yeah,
And, and it's like I tell people I feel like I'm 17 again because I literally, I'm driving, I'm doing stuff, I'm feel energetic. It's like you have this, and once people do it, I think that's the biggest thing, just getting over the mental of, oh, I'll never eat this again, no, I'll never have this again. When you gain so much from it, that little bit of treat that we're told is right is nothing compared to
exactly,
what you've just gained. You've
exactly.
gained
Yeah,
so much quality of life.
exactly, exactly. And I don't know about in your country, but I know in my country, like when people get reach to it, when people get to a certain age, you can see what they're doing. They're going out, they're running, they're just watching their diet, and they don't understand that they're losing the most important thing that they should be focusing on when they get older, and that's muscle mass. Because this is what has a direct impact on hunger. This is what's going to keep that longevity going. Whereas when you see I see so many people that are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s years of age, and all they're doing is running. They're just running.
Mhm.
They're like, okay, I need to look after my heart, which is I 100% agree with. But I would say the most important thing you need to look after is pretty much your muscle. If you want to improve in life and you want to do better in life and you want to be mentally stronger, physically stronger, emotionally stronger, then the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to lose muscle. And if you spent like say 20 years uh, building muscle, and then it gets to like you're 50 years of age, and then you're losing it, that's probably the worst thing you can do. The worst thing you can do.
That's true. Um, so, like I said, I haven't, been full-time exercise or anything, but this year is when I got one of those, they're really reasonable here in Amazon where it tracks everything, like it tracks your muscle
Oh yeah,
mass.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And just from that, from 1 year, I had gained 78% just eating meat alone.
Wow, wow.
I was like, that's such a big, and then my husband had gained 72%. So that's just amazing without the intense training. So I'm like, well, with intense training, or harder training, you can even do better. But just the meat alone, you're getting so much protein, you're getting so much muscle comparative to fat. And it's like, wow, you just
But see,
actually build muscle.
Miranda, you're wrong. You'll hear from all these social media people saying that, hang on a second, you can't build muscle without carbohydrates.
Yeah, that's the problem. And
Hmm.
that's so wrong. And yes, I even see that a little bit in the carnivore world. They're like, well, you can do this, but if you massively muscle mass, then you can't. And I'm like,
Hmm.
well, that doesn't make any
Doesn't
sense.
make any sense.
It actually should be the opposite.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to eat more meat. You're not gonna, stick with like a 10 ounce a day kind of
Hmm.
thing. But you need however much your body needs for what it's fueling. And if you start, as I progressed in the woe and the diet, if you listen to your body, like I said, you'll know when you need a 32-ounce steak and you'll know
Hmm.
when you need a 10 ounce
Hmm.
or 16 ounce. You just sort of kind of know, like you get hungry and you know what the hunger is, because that's,
Exactly.
at first you don't, at first it's just, am I hungry, am I not, because we've gotten so dependent on sugar,
Yeah.
and your body's used to, well, you should feel this way. But and sometimes you don't get, I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't get real hungry, I'll just get a little bit tired,
Hmm.
and I'm like, okay, I know that tiredness means I need some fat or some
Hmm.
protein.
Hmm.
Uh, but some days you'll be hungry. You'll be like, I need some meat.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the beauty about carnivore because I'm the same as you. Like if I have a busy day, a really, really busy day, I'm not even thinking about food. I'll maybe just have a bulletproof coffee with a little bit of fat in it, and that's just going to keep my energy going, which is what I want. I want to keep my brain active, like just keep doing things, and then when I'm nice and relaxed, and I'll sit down, I'll watch a bit of TV, and I'll have a big, huge, massive meal. And that's what our ancestors did. We just went
Mm-hmm.
out, we hunted that meal. We weren't thinking about, okay, hang on a second, before I hunt this meal, I need to find out how many calories is in this meal. I need to find out how many macros are in this meal. No, people went out, they hunted that meal, they sat around the fire, and they just enjoyed that meal because they were genuinely hungry. You know what I mean? And when you look back then, these people had to hunt because if they didn't hunt, they wouldn't be able to feed. Whereas now we have so much in front of us that we don't have that option anymore. So now we don't understand what true satiety really is. We don't really understand what true hunger really is. And I think a lot of people they get mixed up when they say, okay, I'm really, really hungry. But that just could be a craving. So if you've had a bowl of cereal, say first thing in the morning, and like an hour later you're like, I'm really hungry again. Are you really sure that's hunger? Or is that just a craving? Do you just want more sugar? Is that just an addiction? So you're trying to get that balance and trying to find out what the triggers are. Why are you constantly hungry throughout the whole day? And this is the reason why so many people don't understand about carbohydrates. Is that carbohydrates, they run out very, very quickly. So that's the reason why you get these regular spikes, crashes on a regular basis, and why you feel like you have to eat every 2 hours because your glycogen is going to deplete very, very quickly. When you look at a marathon runner probably every half an hour has to keep refilling on carbohydrates. I know a few people that are in the carnivore community that do these triathlons, and these people are doing these triathlons fasted, like 3 or 4 days. Like they haven't had any carbohydrates. They're basically
Yeah.
they'll have a big fat meal, about 4 days out from the show, out from the triathlon, and it's amazing. Their body's actually running off their own fat reserves, and they're actually outrunning these people. They're destroying these people. You know what I mean? And these people are living on carbohydrates.
Yeah. Yeah. It is sad. And you're right too. A lot of times I think, in our society, even in our lifetimes, that you see where they try new things and then they go back to the old. And
Hmm.
I think this is our new sort of revolution of going back to the old.
Absolutely.
The ancestral path. Like
Mm,
we have went so far off to where, yes, everything is, just generated food. We don't cook for ourselves. We just go and work because we're supposed to be worker bees. We have two jobs and we grab something to eat.
mm,
And it's all, prepackaged, pre-generated food, basically. It's
mm,
just preservatives. It's not real food. It's just something to get you keep going.
mm,
And it's just deteriorating the health. I mean, they're putting up hospitals here in like 10,000 people towns. I mean, that's getting to a point of ridiculousness, and they're full. They're full, and it's not. I understand. Yes, I'm for doctors if they're good doctors, and I'm also for doctors that, if you had your foot broke or you had
mm,
an injury, etc. But these internal medicines that they're not treating correctly, like through diet,
mm,
it's like that could be treated differently. They
mm,
don't want to go there
mm,
because that's not profitable.
mm. And yeah, and it's very, very sad. It's very, very sad that me and you understand this, but the average person that is in that situation, there's probably somebody right now listening to this that have the same situation as you, that have had the issues with their health, have had the issues with mental health or stuff like that, and they feel like, you know what, nobody's listening to me, so I have to go and see my doctor. And
Well,
this,
I have to say, right before, I had totally went carnivore. It was the roughest time.
Mm,
I mean,
mm,
I was really, really down. They always tell you you're going to have this forever. You're going to
mm,
have to deal with this forever. So,
mm,
my family was stressed. I was stressed. It was almost like having a cancer patient in the
mm,
house, because I was continually declining and
mm,
dying,
mm,
but yet no relief, no full relief. And so, I mean, I'd have like screaming episodes of pain. It was really bad. And they would, you go to the hospital and they bring it down, and then you're back at it,
mm,
like a couple
mm,
of weeks or a month later, and you never knew when it was going to come. So it took me a long time to get over, like, is the pain coming back?
mm.
Like, I was so fearful and so always ready, because you actually, if you don't catch the pain in time, then you are in extreme pain.
Yeah.
So you always are on this, like, am I in pain? Am I? Is it coming? Is that what's that?
Mm,
And it was always like I was on guard the first couple of years here. Like, is it coming back? But I mean, I couldn't read or write well. It affected my mind. Like my I was always foggy. I was always like, I mean, I went from, I was talented and gifted when I was a kid. So my mind wasn't thinking correctly. And I used to always say that, even like I'm trying to say something, but something else is coming out.
exactly. Yeah. 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 I get it.
And very emotional, things would get to me. But it makes more sense to me now. When you're in pain every day,
Mm,
when you're struggling every day, yeah, maybe somebody might move something in the house, or there could be a little drama in the house, and it's going to affect you more because you're already up here.
mm-hmm,
You're already barely making it.
mm-hmm,
And so when something would occur, it just brought you couldn't deal.
mm-hmm,
And so, to go from that and to see that just a diet change can totally make your life normal,
mm-hmm,
the way it should be, to make your life to where you can fully function, you can mentally function. But I was depressed towards
mm-hmm,
the end there. It was the first
mm-hmm,
time I got really, really, really depressed. Um, my mental health was not there because it just finally had got me. It finally was like, this is 14 years. This is, I don't know if I could deal with this no more. This is just too much. It was
mm-hmm,
just really too much for me physically and mentally.
mm-hmm,
And so, yeah, I mean, carnivore it's huge. So I've seen people with mental health issues that it has changed, because not just if they're in pain, just if it's just, things that they've been going through, because the cholesterol levels in your brain,
mm-hmm,
and how, I mean, I could tell when I got back in, when I, this year even, I had sort of changed things to do a little bit higher fat for hormonal issues. And then I noticed when I went higher fat, though, the brain issues, like how it just totally dissipated I went from, I was a lot better. But then when I upped the fat, it went from like, there's pure clarity.
mm-hmm,
I mean, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, I'm the way old me. I can.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Backed
That's
it
my
up on us there.
no, no. Honestly, Miranda, I could speak about this with you pretty much all day, pretty much, and this is why I had to reach out to you because I've been watching your social media, and you're absolutely killing that. You're absolutely killing it on social media. So if people are actually listening and they want to reach out to you, where's the best place that people can find you?
Well, I go by WOE, WOE. Way of eating is what that's. I sort of kind of did a little bit like you. It doesn't say carnivore,
Mm,
but I'm on X. I am on Facebook. Um, I'm Woe Miranda on Instagram, uh, and I'm on TikTok. So I'm just sort of kind of floating all over.
hmm. And guys, if you're watching, and I would definitely recommend you guys have a look at this woman's page because she's absolutely killing it. She gives out great content, and like what we were saying at the very, very beginning, I think our mission is just to educate people as much as possible. We're not here to tell you guys what to do. We're not doctors. We're just trying to explain to you guys that if you're in a situation at the moment where you are going through an awful lot of hurt, you're going through an awful lot of pain, you do have mental health issues, and you're getting ready to see the doctor, we're just saying that before you do that, just try and look at your diet first. Have a look at your diet first, because you never know. I know for a fact that it done absolutely wonders for me. When I addressed the key things that were in my life and took out the stuff that was actually ruining my life, and I know Miranda was the very same. Our lives have actually changed, guys, and we're not just saying this. Like I'm a testament to this. I know Miranda's the very same. You've heard Miranda's story. Miranda's not didn't just come on and just basically completely lie. She went through all this. She's completely reversed like all her conditions. She's thriving now in life. She wants to do this for the rest of her life. So again, we're not doctors. We're just saying that there are other ways going forward. So Miranda, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Keep killing on social media, and we'll definitely have to do this again in the near future.
Oh, very nice to talk to you. You have a good day.
Speak soon.